Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the movie that's currently in theaters called The Marvels. Marvel Studios, The Marvels. Kind of a sequel to Captain Marvel, kind of a sequel to Miss Marvel, kind of a sequel to WandaVision. It's kind of a sequel to a couple things. So anyway, let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library. It's over 1,000 videos now at this point, and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button. If you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media and all the links to my pages as well. All right. So this is going to be the spoiler-free version of this, by the way. Right now, eventually I get to the spoiler portion here, but I'm going to go for the spoiler-free version for those of you who are still on the fence about seeing this in the theater, if you should spend money on this. Um, I know there's been a lot of misogynistic, hate thrown this way, and that way about this movie. Um, but yeah, I can, I know it's there. So yeah, Captain Marvel is not one of my favorite movies. It's at the bottom of the Marvel pile for me. Honestly, the character itself in the comics, Captain Marvel, is not my favorite comic character either. As a matter of fact, I find her bland. Even in the comics, it's just the way the character is. The character's written. Um, the way she's written now, the militaristic Captain Marvel, the way she was written in the 80s, 90s, somewhere around there. When Monica Rambeau was actually Captain Marvel, great character. Carol Danvers, when she was earlier in the, when she first came into the comics there, an okay character, not great, still kind of and now with a militaristic kind of so do I hate Brie Larson? I hate her acting. Well, let's just say that, or what she considers acting. If you've ever seen the Toyota commercials that she's been in lately, wow, that's some cringy fucking shit right there. So yeah. So into the spoiler-free version of this here. Um, we have Miss Marvel, who, of course, had her own TV series. We have Monica Rambeau, who really doesn't have a superhero name at this point, and we have Captain Marvel, um, trying to, of course, protect the world, Earth, and other worlds as well, from a not quite well-defined villain called dar-benn. Dar-benn, who is tied somehow to Ronan. They really don't make it clear. Ronan being the accuser, the guy who had the big hammer that fought, Guardians of the Galaxy in the first one, all that stuff. Yeah. Uh, remember he died, and so this person took his place and is basically fucking things up around the world, or around the universe, shall we say. And somehow or another, with what she's doing, she somehow gets our heroes, the three heroes, powers entangled so that whenever they use their powers, they switch places, they teleport. It's very ill defined as to why that's happening in the movie. There's a lot of things in this movie that are very ill defined, and I blame the writing on this. Uh, the writing is what's poor in this movie, and if anything, when I go to see a movie, when I go and see a Marvel movie in the theaters, I go for the spectacle of this. I go for the bombacity of it, if you will. I've said this before, and this felt more like a TV series. This felt more like a Marvel one shot. This was something to move along the greater storyline, if you will, of what's to come, like the bigger overarching projects that are coming in, which I'll get to in the spoiler version as well as we talk about this. The villain, like I said, was just forgettable. We really don't have Any kind of exposition on the motivation, we're kind of told in an aside as to how it, why they're doing what they're doing. But again, it wasn't well defined. It was fairly kind of passed over. Again, how the three superheroes have their powers entangled, we don't understand the why of it. It's again just kind of hand wavy, and it's done. Um, yeah, it's just there were a lot of ill-defined things. There's comedy in it, of course, which is fine. I mean, you can have a comedy movie. Guardians of the Galaxy has done it in all three movies. Uh, and honestly, I have to admit, the Camilla Khan's parents and her family is probably the best thing out of this movie for me. And my friend who I went with actually enjoyed the movie, said, but he went in with very lowered expectations, is what he said. He said, I went in with really low expectations. So he enjoyed the movie. I, on the other hand, was kind of not whelmed by it. I was just kind of, you know. So is it worth your time? Um, it depends. If you're going to see it bargain matinee, like, and I would say like an $8 ticket or something like that, sure, go and see it for the $8 ticket. If you're a Marvel completist and want to see all this stuff, if not, wait till it comes out on video. It's not worth your time at that point. It's really it's the stinger is actually the best thing out of all of this. Quite honestly, the very end of the movie and the stinger are the two things that are worth your time on all of this. And again, like I said, Camilla Khan's family. The rest of it, not so much. There's seems like there's a lot of missing pieces in this movie, and I'll get into that in the spoilers. Um, so yeah. So what is everyone saying here? Penn says Captain Marvel is still the only movie I've skipped. Oh, and by the way, welcome back, Penn. I know you've been busy. So, um, and CBM says it makes it hard to find a lot of reviews credible. I understand. Yeah, CBM. When you have a lot of people that are just going, it's it's women that are in the roles. They need to go back in the kitchen and birth babies. And yeah, I hate that shit too. Um, judge a movie by the merits of what it's built on. And quite honestly, uh, this is not a good movie. It's not a it's not a bad movie per se, but it's not a good movie, and there's stuff that's missing from it. So it's not a for me, it's not a theater ticket where I spent $22 on a ticket, $23 on a ticket. Because I went and saw it in Screen X where they show it on the sides of the theaters for certain scenes. I've talked about this before, and it wasn't worth that. It was worth for me, I would have waited till it came out on TV. Quite honestly, I could have waited till it came out on TV. Penn says, I don't like Brie, but I keep seeing trailers for lessons in chemistry, and they actually make her look interesting. So, by the way, one of the writers for the script for this is one of the writers for lessons in chemistry. Just so you know, Penn, that's actually where you got that two those two things happening there. Raymond says, wasn't it supposed to be a TV series? No, it wasn't supposed to be a TV series. It was supposed to be this. And so yeah, so is it worth your time? Um no. I for me it was a no. My friend on the other hand had fun during it. And that's all you can really hope for in a movie is you want to go and have fun. And that's what we go to the movie theaters for, right? So take with it what you will. It wasn't a it wasn't a grandiose experience for me. It didn't do anything for me on that. So with that said, over here and knock shit down. There we go. Spoiler alert, I am gonna spoil the movie. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to keep spoiler free, this is the time to turn away, pause, whatever you need to do. And I'm gonna give you a little time here. There you go. All right, there you go. You have been warned at this point. So let's talk spoilers here for a minute. The stinger and also the end of the movie. The stinger, we have Monica Rambeau. She goes into another. She goes into the multiverse. Basically, she goes into a different realm, and because she has to seal up the rift that dar-benn has made in the space-time continuum from the other side, and she passes out. She wakes up in the stinger, and the first voice I heard was Kelsey Grammer, and I knew it was Beast. And it's a comic accurate version of Beast because they did a CGI version, which is fucking beautiful. With his voice, it worked so well. And her mom is there, although it's not her mom because this woman never had children. And she is dressed in a superhero costume. Binary is the name of the character. That is the Captain Marvel of that universe is what you're saying there. What does this mean? So this means that what dar-benn was doing with the quantum bands, so the wrist gauntlets that Camilla Khan has is they're called quantum bands. They have finally named it here in this movie as well. And for those of you comic book geeks out there, quantum bands, Quasar has used them, Nova has used them, from the Nova Core, all that kind of stuff. So we have quantum bands in there in comic lore, and these ones had actually ripped open the space time, the fabric of space time, because she was opening up wormholes to different worlds to essentially repopulate the Kree homeworld, or revitalize the Kree homeworld. So she was bringing air from one world that the scrolls were on to Kree. She was bringing water from another world again for Kree, and then she was trying to reignite their sun. Uh, Never mind the physics implications of doing all of that on a real world environment. Because yeah, I would just rip that fucking world apart at that point, and also the other universes as well. But anyway, that's what she was doing, and because of those wormholes that she was opening, especially the last one that she did, which destroyed her because she was using both quantum bands and it destroyed her. She ripped open space time and created an incursion. Now, is what we found out from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Whenever there's an incursion that happens, it never stays closed, and one or the other universe or both universes gets destroyed, unless one gets destroyed in the meantime. This is going to be setting up Secret Wars. We know Secret Wars is coming. We know there is a Secret Wars TV series that's coming, and that's what this starts. This starts Secret Wars. Camilla Khan now has both quantum bands, so she, is in control of those. And if you watch the Miss Marvel series, you found out that the bands actually take power from the Nor dimension, and people from the Nor dimension or have the Nor genetics, which Camilla Khan does, can channel that energy into hard light surface projections. But anyway, she at the end of all of this ends up recruiting Kate Bishop for what's going to be the Young Avengers. So we see that happening as well. Again, this movie is a vehicle to move other stuff along. That's what we're getting at here. We also saw what Nick Fury was doing all his time in space. Was he was actually putting together this group called s.a.b.r.e. And s.a.b.r.e, of course, is kind of like S.w.o.r.d from the comics, but not really. And it's to basically protect the Earth from, cosmic events that are going to happen. So we got to see that as well. So that's the gist of what this movie is setting up, which is a lot, quite honestly. Which is why it's kind of muddied. This whole film is muddied. There are You don't have the motivation of why dar-benn is doing this, although they finally tell you that, oh yeah, because Captain Marvel destroyed the Supreme Intelligence on Kree. She basically destroyed Kree in a way because they had a civil war. They used up they burned off kind of their atmosphere. They also used up all their water, burned off all their water, and their son went dead as a result of all of this. So she was trying to reignite, basically bring back all this stuff to Kree that Captain Marvel had destroyed, and she blamed Captain Marvel for it. That was the whole thing. But Again, we weren't shown any of this. We were just kind of told this. And I always go back to John Millis. John Millis, who of course was the director of Conan, the Conan the Barbarian, the one with Schwarzenegger. He was actually a film teacher. He taught Lucas, he taught Spielberg, and his famous line has always been in USC in film school was show, don't tell. That was his whole thing. If you're going to be a filmmaker, show, don't tell. Unfortunately, that's what they do in this is they tell a lot. They don't show a lot. And it never sets up any kind of sympathy for dar-benn. It never really sets up the character of dar-benn. And quite honestly, the actress who plays dar-benn uh, Zawe Ashton, or as I like to call her, Mrs. Tom Hiddleston, because that's who she's married to. Um, really kind of sucked in the role. I'm going to say that there was no villain presence, and if your movie doesn't have a good villain, and again, the Marvel movies are known for this. If you don't have a good villain to anchor your movie's not is going to suffer, and that's 99% of why this movie failed. You don't have a good villain, you don't have a good villain motivation, and you don't have a clear idea of how the characters got their powers linked to the quantum bands, other than Miss Captain Marvel went up and touched the wormhole, and then she got zapped. And because Camilla Khan has her one quantum band that's linked to the one that dar-benn had, that linked them, but then how does Monica Rambeau come into all yeah, so it just didn't make any sense of all of this. Raymond says, "Is dar-benn from the comics?" I don't think so, Raymond. I don't know for sure. So, I actually didn't go into that far of a detail. So, yeah. Keith Hamilton says, "Wake me up when Thunderbolts comes out in 2025." Anyone watching Beacon 23? Um, yeah, I heard of Beacon 23 and I haven't bothered looking at it. So, yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that are set up in this that just don't pan out. And again, like I said, this would have been a great Marvel one shot just to, tie things together, I guess you can say. So they are bringing the Marvel one shots back. They've already been talking about this. But this movie was done, what, a year ago, roughly? It was already in the can, maybe 2 years ago, and it's, long before the current thinking has been going into place. It's long before Bob Iger came back into the picture of all of this, and, yeah, it suffers. We're seeing the tail end of, um Marvel's basically changing gears in all of this. Marvel Studios is changing gears on how things are happening. And again, it's that whole thing like if you're steering the Titanic and you need to make a turn, you need to make a turn. It's going to take a long time for that boat to move. Otherwise, you're still going to hit that iceberg. And so that is the reason why it's taking we're not going to see the changes happen until, as Keith Hamilton says here, 2025. Because really the only Marvel movie that's coming out in 2024 is going to be Deadpool 3. That's it. Everything else got moved to 2025, supposedly because of the strike, even though the new Captain America movie was pretty much in the can, but is going back for three major reshoots of three major action scenes. So, yes, Raymond, she is Kree. She was kind of a bluish green. It was kind of a weird, yeah, thing. Penn says, I Googled it. Principal photography began in July 2021 and concluded by mid-May 2022. Yeah. So last 2 years. So yeah, that was definitely when all of this was going down, when they thought everything was right in the world. And that's when we started having problems with the Marvel movies. And having problems with the Marvel movies, not being that they're woke or whatever, doesn't agree with whatever your worldview is. Um, Basically that they have been subpar in their writing and in their stories, quite honestly. and mainly because they've been doing quantity over quality, and that's what I've recently read. Something Kevin Feige is starting to go back to. They want to go back to quality, not quantity, of the movies and TV series, and that's why they're kind of pulling back on some stuff. And I agree with that. You really do need to go back in and do some quality control on your product. You don't need to just keep pumping shit out to, you know, make sure that you're viable in the market, that people don't forget what Marvel. I mean, come on, you got 33. This is the 33rd Marvel movie, by the way. 33rd Marvel movie that's out there. If people don't know what the fuck Marvel is by now, there's an entire channel that's devoted to it. Disney Plus has an entire section of Marvel stuff that you can watch at this point. So, yeah. Raymond says, I heard there were other cameos too, not just X-Men. So Kate Bishop was the other cameo, and Valkyrie. Valkyrie comes by just to pick up some scrolls, and that's about it. President Valkyrie comes by. That's really it. That's your only cameos that you get. And Kate Bishop at the end, who's getting recruited, and Lucky the pizza dog as well, who's with Kate. So yeah, I really did not like what Kate. She comes in, she goes special delivery, and she just kind of throws the pizza on the floor for Lucky, and I'm like, he doesn't have a fucking bowl, you know. You're making the dog eat off the floor. Come on. I say this as a dog owner. I mean, my dog, if she's getting food from, human food, what little she does get, it goes into the bowl. Doesn't go on the fucking floor. Yeah. Um, I would never do that to Pepper. Exactly. So yeah, not the best movie in the world, not the worst one. That still goes to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is still the worst one out of the Marvel series for me. It just made no sense as to why it needed to be done. Um, quite honestly, other than you know, retconning a lot of stuff, and it just. But yeah, this one again was just to move larger pieces along. You're moving along Secret Wars, you're moving along Young Avengers, um, and that's really about it. I mean, even Captain Marvel doesn't change in this. The characters that do change out of this, Miss Marvel changes because now she's been introduced to Nick Fury, Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, who may or may not be called Photon now. She may be called Spectrum. They kept floating all these different names, but they never really settled on a name for her. So they just keep calling her Monica Rambeau, even though she got a new suit out of all of this. And the one of the other funny things was they go to this planet that's supposed to be this water planet where Captain Marvel has been married because the inhabitants of this world, the way they communicate is through song. And I thought there was going to be a musical number at one point. Luckily, there wasn't. I can almost guarantee you there was a musical number that was filmed for this. We're going to see it in the special edition, or whenever this comes out. Like I said, there's pieces of this movie that seem that are missing. That was one of them. And the reason why I say this is because the person who was the king that was supposed to have married, Captain Marvel, is a K-pop star, which I didn't know about until later on. And I guess people are pissed off at how small his role was. Um, and that he didn't get to sing all that much. He sang a couple of lines and that was it. So I'm guessing there's a song and dance number in all of this. There, I'm sure there was some more stuff with dar-benn to actually kind of flesh out her character. There, like I said, there seems like there's pieces, large pieces missing out of this movie that kind of would have fleshed things out. In my own head, just while I was showering, as a matter of fact, 'cause I was thinking about this movie this morning about like how I was going to present it to you all here. I was thinking I would have structured it this way, and I actually kind of went through and even using the same story in somewhat. I There are different ways of structuring this to make it better, and it just felt like a TV show. It really did. It felt like a TV show. It didn't feel like a movie. And I think we deserved better than that. And I think it could have been done better than it was. And again, like I said, it might have just been editing. Was it studio interference? Possibly. There are just too many things that now, when you start, after the whole strike thing, that all this stuff has come out, which people have known about for a while, studio interference and just all the shit that happens in Hollywood behind the scenes, that there's any number of things that could have ruined this movie. It also could have just been, you know, bad writing and bad directing. It could have been that as well. But again, you can't really say that either, for the most part, for being called out as being misogynist. And honestly, the acting is fine. You know, Monica Rambeau is one of my favorite characters. Tiana Paris is awesome as Monica Rambeau. Love her. Iman Vellani is a good Miss Marvel. Is it? She's not one of my favorite characters, and that's mainly because she's too teeny poppy for me, and that just doesn't work for me. And we all know how I feel about Brie Larson and her acting, which is very wooden and just whoa. So yeah, there's that too. Oh, and by the way, I just have to say, I'm really fucking tired of hearing Ave Maria in movies. It needs to have a moratorium again, especially when they're trying to do comedy with Ave Maria juxtaposed with kind of a horror aspect. So at one point, Goose is the Fleur, the cat with the tentacle mouth, and all that stuff, gives birth onto the S.a.b.r.E station, and that turns out to be the only way that they can rescue people from the station before it goes down, is to have all the Fleur kitties swallow people, so that you can have all the cats get on board the one functional escape pod. And the people don't want to be eaten, of course, so they're running from these cats, and they're running in slow motion to Ave Maria. And yeah, mm, that scene alone was just, I was like, wow, that's a fucking horrible scene. That is indicative of a poor choice in yeah, right there. And not all the scenes were like that. It just, that happened to be one of the scenes that I would say was the egregious, oh my god, cringy kind of scene for me. And again, like I say, I really fucking hate Ave Maria being used uh anymore in all of that stuff. Uh I heard that was Memory from music. Oh, maybe it was Memory. I don't. It sounds the same as Ave Maria to me. Maybe I just kind of confused it, but I just remember that. Yeah, it was horrible. Keith Hamill says, when does Marvel pull off the Band-Aid and recast Jonathan Majors? Pretty much they've already moved away from him, Keith. So yeah. If you saw Loki season 2, they pretty much have already moved away from Kang. But who knows what they're going to be pivoting towards now. Because I mean, they're still gonna do the Kang Wars. That's still on the docket, at least for now. They might just be waiting to see what happens. I mean, his trial is up later on this month. So yeah. Anyway. Oh, and by the way, anybody want some figures free to a good home? Here you go. You got Nick Fury. You got a Nick Fury figure there that does that, and a Captain Marvel figure who will punch you, kind of thing. So if you want these figures, just let me know. All you need to do is email me, and they're yours. They're for free. I'll send them out to you. They're McDonald's Happy Meal toys. That's what they are. So just let me know, and send me your address, and I can send them out to you. Vera Magisha says, I didn't realize why Kang wasn't in the Loki episodes as much until you mentioned it during. Yeah. 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 I mean, which is a shame. Kang is a great character, and yeah, and yes, welcome back to Vera Magisha as well. It has been a long time since. Oh, and by the way, I received a postcard today too. Thank you. So I saw that came, and also for the previous one too that I forgot to say. So, and I apologize. Ads have been inserted. I just saw that ads have been inserted here. So if you got stuck into ad hell, I'm sorry about that. That's YouTube. Raymond says, "What are the prizes for the Loki finale again?" Oh, that's right. You know what? I forgot to put that on the schedule for this week too. So, and thanks for reminding me, Raymond. So, I do have a Loki contest going on. If you go back and watch the video for this for the season finale of Loki, first first place prize is this Miss Minutes pin. Her arms actually move and all that stuff too. They go up and down, it swings back and forth. Just it's of the package that I can't get into. So that is a limited edition Miss Minutes pin. And second place prize is an Avengers t-shirt. Extra large Avengers t-shirt. There you go. And as long as you're within the continental United States and you can make a comment in that video over there, and you can make as many comments as you want. You're only going to get one entry. And this Saturday, I'm actually going to do a drawing for that. So, yes. And so far, there's really only one entry because the other entry is from Europe. Yeah. I love Miss Minutes. I love Miss Minutes. I'm actually so originally what I was trying to do is I was trying to make a Miss Minutes in resin, epoxy resin. I was actually sculpting a character. I still have the sculpt, in pieces, and I just didn't get it done in time. That was going to be the other prize instead of the T-shirt, and instead it just didn't come to fruition. Again, I don't have enough time for the most part. So yeah, it's still in half pieces and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, I'll get it done. But yeah, I mean, I got clear resin, orange coloring, and some glitter that I was going to put in there. So yeah. So what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow, that's right. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing spoiler alert. I told you I was moving it to this week. So spoiler alert, where basically we talk about anything that's out in the public, no sneak previews or anything like that, and we can talk spoilers on all of that. Also, any kind of movie news, that kind of stuff as well, or genre news is what I should say. Friday will be Invincible episode 3. Invincible episode 3. We're gonna be talking about that. And then Saturday evening will be the drawing for the aforementioned Loki prizes. That's what we're gonna do here. Yeah. So that's what's happening here. I'm actually kind of happy. There is a new trailer that dropped today too. We got to find out that season 2 of What If is going to be on December 22nd on Disney Plus, and there's 9 episodes, and they're going to release an episode a day. It's like an advent calendar, which is very twisted. I kind of like it. But yeah, well, they're going to release an episode a day for 9 days starting on the 22nd. And I'm happy with that. It also means though that Disney is burning off that series, which also kind of disturbs me at the same time because they're doing the same thing with Echo. Echo, they're dropping all at once in January, so that kind of, yeah. I saw the Madam Web trailer. All I'm gonna say it's from the writers of Morbius. So if you want to know what my thoughts are on that one, go and take a look at the Morbius. Is it worth my time? Am I still gonna go and see it in theaters? Probably just for curiosity's sake and also for the channel here. But yeah, I'm not holding out any hope for that movie. That movie's gonna be a steaming pile of dumpster pie trash. crashing off of a interstate into a locomotive that's, you know, ramming through a 6-ton pile of TNT. I'm having a feeling that's going to crash and burn even harder than Mobius. It just looked like it was way too busy with what it wanted to do, which I'm not surprised. It's Amy Pascal who's behind it, and Avri Arad, who are really the kiss of death to anything Marvel Spidey related. Really, they are. Craven's going to be the same thing when it comes out. So, Craven the Hunter. Yeah, that just doesn't look good either. So, with that said, I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody joining me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, and you know who you are out there, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible. So one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button. And if you want to know when we're on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it out every week. Also have all the links to my social media and all the links to my pages as well. And again, just to reiterate, is it worth my time for this movie? For me, it was not worth my time to see it in the theater. I would see it on, like Disney Plus when it comes out on Disney Plus. That's pretty much about it. Because it just, yes, it moves things along in the MCU, but it just was so disjointed and yeah, it just had holes in it, a lot of holes in it that just didn't work for me. And that was even getting distracted during the movie. So the theater that I go to, they do table service and all that kind of stuff, and they really right now, I can tell they're on the downhill slide. So I have this knack of finding really good theaters on their uphill, and then I know they're going to plateau at some point, and then they're going to go on the downhill, and then they end up closing. And I'm fairly sure this is on the downhill slope right now, and I'm guessing it's going to close in about a year, probably by the end of next year, somewhere around there. But it'll be a fun ride, other than that. So, yeah, there you go. So I'll see you again tomorrow for spoiler alert. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up finding out that those quantum bands are going to be shifting you around between you and other people at random for if you use your powers. Maybe it depends on what powers you're using. Again, that was the other thing that was kind of confusing, is that sometimes they use their powers and wouldn't switch places, and then sometimes they use a power. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's what I'm getting at. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, have a good rest of your night. Stay safe, be well, take care, and yeah, wear those masks out there. Shit's going around again. So yeah. Um Vera Magusha says, hopefully I can catch you live again tomorrow. If not, I'll catch the recording. Yes. I'll see you all later. Have a good rest of your night, and take care, everyone. See you tomorrow. Have a good one.